Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Borough Council Green Tree official council meeting, business meeting for Monday, April 4th, 2022. Just let it be in record that council met previously to this for an executive session to talk about personnel issues. So at this point, I would like to call the meeting to order. As I did have a moment of silence for someone you may have mindful that next month is Memorial Day. We would have keep some people in mind, so I have a moment of silence, including the terrible situation over in Eastern New York. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Barron?
Here.
Mr. Lindsay?
Here.
Mr. Panza?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Romanovich?
Present.
Mr. Tarosi?
Present.
Mr. Tintori?
Present.
Mayor Shay?
Present. Next up, we need to have approval of the minutes of March 7th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any changes? If not so, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. Okay, that motion passes. Next up, we have a hearing of citizens. So all citizens wishing to address council on general business or agenda items, please step up to the microphone, introduce yourself if you care to. Okay, then. Thanks, everybody. Okay, next on, we'll move into the committee business.
Excuse me, just a point of order.
Yes.
We're still, there's an ordinance about how the meetings are supposed to run. It's still the ordinance. The mayor goes after hearing the citizens. It hasn't been voted on. It has not been amended yet. So I asked to give my mayor's report at this point. In accordance with the ordinance. It's currently pending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I had mayor's office hours the other day. The chief and we had a couple people come in, nothing real pressing. So we did appreciate that. I was interviewed last week. I think some of the people here were also interviewed on the Public Safety Committee, which I think I get the initials confused. Department of Community Affairs, DCE, somebody help me. DCED.
Correct.
DCED, they're evaluating the municipality, the administrative staff and the police. So there's an independent contractor. He's a police chief, Chief Simpson out east, and he's the person that interviewed us. I know Mr. Lindsay was interviewed. Who else?
I was.
Okay, good. And are you on the list? Okay, good. So hopefully he comes back with some recommendations that will help us to improve. There's always room for improvement in regard to the police department. In regard to I think it's going to be tabled today, but I do have a couple of comments in regard to the ordinance about changing the order of the meetings. I think that a decision, an ordinance like that should have input from everybody on council. And I think that we should form a committee or a group, one new member of council, an old member of council, myself, and the president to go through the order and to discuss it. I think it's important to have input from everybody, not just at a council meeting here, and to see and to review everything. I know that it's going to be tabled tonight because something else came up. But if you look at current chapter 28, there's other things that need changed in that too. That's not doing piecemeal. For example, section J of 28. I have copies here if anyone wants it. Section J of 28(2), Section J talks about within not more than 10 days after each meeting of council, the secretary shall supply each councilman at his or her residence with a typewritten copy of the proceedings of such meeting. I mean, that's a bygone day. So we need input from everybody to look at this order, to look at chapter 28, have a committee, and then make recommendations. It's not just for one person to make the recommendation and then pass. And then I'm going to put in a plug for the mayor position, just the mayor position overall. Not, what's that?
Shocker.
Shocker, right. Not my personality, but the mayor position, because my personality, that's a different thing. The mayor should be early on the agenda for a couple of reasons. I know we want to get to business, but the mayor's report, sometimes he sets the tone, he greets people, he says what's happening. People that are listening, the people who come here, do you come here to hear ordinance number 562 and such? You come here to hear what's going on in the borough. You're here to get, who's going to get kudos or not. So I think the mayor should come early on in the meeting, and I see no reason to change that because it's been going on and it doesn't distract from the business part. So whatever it is, unless we have input from everybody on chapter 28, unless we have a committee that does it and takes that into consideration, and unless the mayor is bumped back to his former position, I'm going to veto it. So I've read up on the veto. I think this is important that we get input from everyone. I'm repeating myself, and that the mayor goes early on. And if I do veto it, you're not going to need 5 votes. So let's work as a team and get this straightened out. And I'm willing to compromise. And I think it should be looked at. And I'm glad it should be looked at. But let's do it a good procedure and not step in anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Now, we're going to move on to some committee business. First up, Finance and General Policy, Mr. Trosi.
Thank you, Mr. President. So are we also then doing our general report during our section to address the mayor's point of order?
Well, I'm not sure if we have to throw all that out and go back to it. I mean, the issue was with the agenda. There's so many things on an agenda we don't do. And the idea was to look at that. We don't have engineer reports. So the idea is to make it more realistic. So I don't know.
I understand.
It's up, I would suggest we just
I'm not
follow.
arguing updating the current version. I'm just wondering tonight, should we revert back to?
That's a good question. I don't know. Legally, do we have to do it legally? What are we at?
What's in the charter, sir? The agenda's in the charter.
Okay,
So I'm just wondering legally, what should we do?
that's a good question. I don't know.
I think we could vote to not follow it for the night,
Not follow the agenda or not
Just-
follow the charter?
not follow the charter. Not follow the
ordinance.
ordinance, because we'd have to be jumping back and forth on this piece of
Yes.
paper. It's gonna
Yeah,
confuse.
I'm just gonna jump in and say it's not in the charter. It's in an ordinance. And that's just a big difference just because of the way that it would be
Right,
updated, right?
Okay.
So like an ordinance is a much easier change than a charter
Okay.
change.
Right.
So, but it is codified, but I think if the majority of council wants to move forward with the agenda as presented, or, I don't think there would be an issue with that from a legal perspective. But
all the information is going to be, all the business is going to be conducted in front of the people in this room and the people tuning into Zoom. So there's no intention to hide anything
Nothing's
or
being restricted.
bury anything. The intention with this new format, if I, because I talked to Art about it a little bit, was to try to take care of all the business at hand that people may come specifically for, whether it's awarding of contracts or passing of ordinances, especially zoning things. Sometimes that draws a big crowd. And I think the idea was to try to get all of the business out of the way first and then the reports, then move to reports second. That's why it was structured
Yeah,
like
I'm not
this.
questioning the rationale behind the change. I'm just wondering
Like,
tonight,
yeah,
what do we
right.
follow?
So
That's
I
a good
would say, I think, if I may be so bold
Go
as
ahead.
to say, I think it would be perfectly fine then to follow the agenda as it's written. I think that would make for a little less confusion for everybody.
I move that we ignore the ordinance for this evening and follow the agenda as written.
I second.
Okay, we have motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will for content.
If I could just make one more,
Sure.
one comment to that issue of ordinance 28, since we do have a committee set up for finance and general policy. I think it's something that we can address in the finance and general policy meeting that will be coming up.
Can I be invited?
Certainly.
Okay, Mr. Truist.
Thank you. The first order of business would be, I would move to ratify the actions of the borough manager, paying the March 2022 invoices from the general fund, which totals $66,166.04. Farmers market totaling $820, payroll account totaling $304,103.92, and the educational service agency totaling $7,156.73.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Motion passes.
Next, I would move to approve the payment of the April 2022 invoices from the general fund, which total $96,267.31. Sanitary sewer maintenance fund totaling $4,397.96. And the bond fund totaling $32,907.88.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. Any comments, questions, changes?
I have a question. I'm not sure if this falls in this motion or the previous one, but I just have a couple of questions on Judy, Gateway Engineers.
Yes,
Why are we still paying them a retainer?
for files that they are retaining, that
Okay.
they don't release. I'm told that they technically own them, and we have to lease, we have to pay them to store them. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I'm told by the prior engineer, and I believe our finance director supported the fact that it's not something we can get out of. I can try again. Maybe it's something I can speak with Kate about.
Okay, so that it's not a retainer for services, it's a
No, we
retainer for
do
records.
not. It's just a retainer for records.
Okay. And the other one, it was for Advent, is that
Yes,
our IT?
Advent is for our IT services.
It looked like there was two similar payments in the same month.
They split it, the charge is split between the admin and police.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
All right.
And it's approximately $4,000 to $5,000 every month.
so- okay,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
Next order of business would be ordinance 1870 for our discussion prior to the beginning of our committee business. I would move that we table this ordinance for further review by the Finance and General Policy Committee.
Second.
Okay, and at this point, I would like to interject that
Now you want to help me out.
I feel the mayor actually came up with a very, very good idea. I know I said that, but when he suggested having the president of council, the mayor, a newer council person and an older council person get together and actually discuss the ordinance change, the changes to the agenda. I thought that would be a much more productive way of grinding out a fair and new agenda and accomplishing everyone's general wishes. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but
Yeah, I would leave it up to the president and council to decide the committee. I just don't think it falls under any of our current standing committees. It would be more of an ad hoc committee. And, feel free to pick whoever.
I still think
I guess, Reno,
I
that's,
still think it's under general policy.
Well, it's not a policy.
Well, this ordinance,
It's an ordinance.
it's an ordinance.
Well, it's an ordinance, but it's,
and
But
see, I just
But we
feel,
could add people to it.
and in all honesty, I just feel the term general policy is very general. And, well, I mean, and that's part of the problem. That's probably part of the problem where I think you just summed it up, that this really doesn't fall under any one specific committee, and that's why an ad hoc committee would be appropriate in this situation. But so, I mean, but I will concur to the president and council if he can leave it go at that.
If I could comment, even if we follow the mayor's suggestion, we have Mr. Lindsay, an old member of council, myself as the chair, a new member of council. We have Ms. Barron, also a new member of council. We have the president, who is a member of every committee, as an old member of council. And certainly the mayor is invited for comment to take into consideration with what we do. So I think we're well within what's been suggested here.
But Ms. Lister, wouldn't that be a quorum?
The meeting should be an advertised public meeting.
Well, no, three council people
1, 2, 3.
and the mayor wouldn't be a quorum.
Well,
If you're
before,
the council
well, if
president.
actually with
If-
council president.
yeah.
No, that's why if you would form the committee, say Eugene, Mr. Lindsay, Art, and the mayor, that's the mayor's, that would be a committee the mayor suggested. That would not be a quorum,
What?
and
It's 4, isn't it?
the mayor
The mayor
doesn't.
Mayor
doesn't-
doesn't get a vote.
President of
You
council.
mentioned Art, though.
No,
Yeah, I said
Well,
Jim,
if Shannon sits out.
Reno, Art, 3 councilmen,
yeah.
and the mayor. That's not a
Okay.
quorum.
Let Art decide.
I'm just saying that's what I would suggest, but we'll let Art decide.
And sorry, technically, we don't have a finance and general policy committee because the ordinance
That
is.
was part of the changes.
But anyhow, the ordinance only establishes.
Semantics.
I know semantics, but anyhow, sorry, I can't help it.
I think part of this discussion, we need to include some criteria that what falls under these different committees. Because I agree with Mr. Panza, general policy seems to be a catch-all. So can we create some
Well, I think-
pre-established criteria
well, I
that
think-
this is,
when we handed out the committees, there was a description of what those committees were, and who they were. You want to look at your emails. in the past.
yeah, I know, but it's maybe more descriptive. It only had a couple of words that describe each one. Maybe a little more
I think it was
descriptive on
intended to be a catch-all.
If you get too specific, you'll go crazy because there's a million things that are going there. And it was basically a guide to try to get through some of this stuff. That's really all it was.
Okay.
I would just hope that we direct as many things to the appropriate committees as possible, not use it as a cop-out.
Sure.
To throw everything in a general policy.
That's true. So you're in the middle of making a motion.
It was.
I had moved to table the.
Okay, we did get it.
It's seconded.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second. Oh, let's have a roll call vote.
No.
We need a roll call?
No.
Okay, if we don't, then yea or nay, fine with me,
Hey,
please. Okay, you want to do okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you. And Kate will shed some information more, and then she will do a little introduction to the planning and zoning ordinances, so.
Great, thank you,
Ms.
Mr. President. Up next, we have 2 zoning ordinances that are up for consideration this evening. And I just wanted to note that because these are zoning ordinances, they are governed by the MPC as well as, that's the municipal planning code, as well as borough ordinances, which have specific requirements, which include that they were advertised twice in advance of tonight's meeting, that they were reviewed by county planning, that they were extensively reviewed by our planning commission. A lot of work went into this to get these ordinances to where they are. The first ordinance is an amendment, kind of a larger amendment, updates our use table. Make sure that we have appropriate definitions for all of the terms within zoning that we caught this time through, and kind of cleaned up some of the language. There was a recent full amendment to the zoning ordinance, and so this was an opportunity to clean up some of that language, mostly clarification in that one. The second ordinance is regarding public storage containers and dumpsters, and how those are regulated and how they are permitted by the borough. So that's kind of the big picture on those. And before council can move forward with those, we're going to open it up to public comment. If anybody has anything on either one of the zoning ordinances specifically.
Good evening, Cheryl Bacon from the Green Tree Planning Commission. The only comment I have is regarding the dumpster ordinance, and it relates to the fee schedule. When planning submitted this for consideration by council, we did not include fees within the ordinance. We suggested that they go on a separate fee schedule so that every time fees are adjusted, there's no need to rewrite the ordinance. And the ordinance that was passed over to me, I believe on Friday, had gone backward and had put the fees right in the ordinance. We would suggest to you that those fees be included in the fee schedule so that it's an easier change and actually removed from the ordinance itself. Thank you.
And I can actually comment on that. And Cheryl, as you know, that the fees that we did put back in there were the ones I believe that were originally recommended. And the only reason they were put back in is because I didn't want to pass an ordinance that references a fee schedule that didn't include this fee. So that was kind of, it was a little bit backwards. So if somebody would come in for a dumpster ordinance or a dumpster or a storage container, and they would go to the fee schedule to look for the fee, it's not in there yet. So that's actually in the process of being updated because we have several of our fees that need to be brought up to date. And that will be on actually May's council meeting. So I do agree, it definitely makes it easier for updating purposes. I just didn't want us to be put in a position where we didn't have fees outlined in the ordinance.
So we would have to do, I'm sorry, Kate.
Oh, so I was just going to make a recommendation that you could simply amend that language where the fees are added and just said, or as set by resolution by Borough Council. And if you add that sentence in, kind of sets your initial fee at 50 and then allows you to amend it going forward. So with that amendment, I think that we'd correct that.
Okay, and the other change, minor change that we need to make is we need to create a separate definition for portable storage container. Because right now it falls under dumpster and that should be separate. So we're going to bump that out as a separate definition.
So if you look at the ordinance, it says dumpster, and then A is large dumpster and B is small dumpster and C is storage container. We'll simply remove the C and bump it out. So it will be like its own definition. No change in the definition.
So if there's any other need for clarification, do we need any discussion?
I haven't made a motion yet.
I know you haven't introduced it yet, have you?
No,
Right.
we're
that's what
still,
I just
have we
want to,
concluded the public hearing?
well, that's what I was going to just do.
Yeah.
If there's no other discussion, so can we therefore conclude the public meeting? So we are concluding public meeting. Now, Mr. Ray,
Yeah, I'd like to
it's
make.
your
a-
turn to go.
Thank you. I'd like to move that we pass ordinance number 1868, amending chapter 420 of the Green Tree Codified Ordinances.
Second.
With those changes.
This one,
This one had no.
This one had no changes.
It's not necessary.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Do we need a roll call on this
Yes.
ordinance? Okay. So please roll call.
Mr. Ray,
yes.
Mr. Romanovich,
Yes.
Mr. Troisi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. Okay, the motion passes. The ordinance passes. Excuse me.
Great, thank you. And also I move that we pass ordinance number 1869, amending 420-14 of the Green Tree Codified Ordinances to set forth a definition, fee, and regulations for dumpsters and portable storage containers, and also making the change of adding the resolution to refer to the fee schedule, and also creating a separate definition for portable storage containers.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and any further discussion? If not, we need a roll call.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Romanovich,
Yes.
Mr. Troisi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. The ordinance passes.
That's the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Next up, public safety ordinances. Mr.
Public-
Lindsay.
Public safety, thank you. First up on the agenda is the revision and adoption of an updated use of force policy that has been seen by the committee, the union, and everybody involved, including the solicitor, and everyone has given their approval. So at this time, I move that we pass ordinance 1871 approving and adopting policy 300, use of force as part of the police manual of the Green Tree Borough Police Department.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question here.
I hope I can answer.
Yeah, oops, I think you should be able to. There's reference in here about jurisdiction where there, well, let me ask first the question, the ordinance or the policy that was submitted with the agenda packet had red line changes.
Mhm.
Those are the changes that,
I'm assuming the strike throughs are coming out and the non-strike throughs are going in. Because it shouldn't matter where we're operating, right? If
well,
we're,
that's my question.
yeah, it shouldn't address just here.
Right,
It should address wherever we're at
right,
in mutual aid.
right. Regardless of what the policy is in the other jurisdiction.
Correct, because it's our policy.
Okay.
And
And then,
our guys will be held accountable
okay,
regardless of what jurisdiction they're in. I would imagine.
okay. So the related question is, if there's language in here about reporting, if our officers see use of force beyond what's acceptable in our policy, are they required to report it?
If it involves
It's
another
officer.
agency.
Yeah.
I don't know if we went that far or not. Because legally, that wouldn't be our,
But ethically, are they obligated?
ethically, yeah, maybe, but
Under,
I don't know if this goes that far.
okay,
I just know that we're taking out the distance and the fact that we're up, it doesn't matter where we are geographically, that we're bound to report.
that makes sense.
I mean, I could get some more clarity from the chief, but that's how I understand it at this point.
The chief is under the weather. He's usually at the meetings. He's under the weather tonight, so he's not here. But I would hope that if one of our officers saw use of force beyond our policy, even though it was another jurisdiction, it at least informally to mention it to the police chief, and the police chief, Chief Cleary, would decide what to do based on that.
I had no other questions.
Yeah, I mean, the use of force policy is for our officers and our reporting of it. I don't know if we put in writing that they're obligated to intervene when they see another agency's officers doing something they feel is inappropriate. I don't think we went to that level. If that answers your question.
Yeah, that's my question.
I don't think we went there.
The way it reads, it looks like it does.
reporting, but not,
Right.
not engaging, right? So are we obligated, are we making them,
Well, it
are we
says-
off, are we making them stop the process? Or are we just having them report?
Do the officers have a duty to intervene should they know or have reason to know another officer is about to use or is using unreasonable force? So another officer doesn't limit the jurisdiction to another Green Tree officer.
Okay, good.
They've got a duty to intervene regardless.
I just
of
keep
who-
reading notification, is the changes, the changes we're looking at now. Are you reading about the changes we made before?
I'm reading down where it says duty to intervene.
In my
Yeah,
question,
yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at the changes we're adopting now.
Yeah,
Those things were changed before. I'm just looking at the strike throughs and what we're adding, what we're changing and adopting now.
Right.
yeah,
So I'm sorry, I guess it was a two-part answer.
well, that's assuming that the other department's policy is similar to ours. So are we supposed to intervene based on our policy? I just want to create
When
clarity.
we were
for-
going around and around with this, didn't we start this when you were on the committee probably? Last year? We started, because we've
Yeah,
revised
this-
this numerous
This
times.
is going on and on. Yeah.
So I felt that we should intervene regardless of where we are. Right? But this keeps referencing, well, see, we're taking Green Tree out and we're putting officers in general, so it would apply. Right?
With our policy.
Correct.
So they have to intervene if they see an officer in another jurisdiction.
Yeah, I think our challenge
Acting.
was, let's not stand by because the other town doesn't have the proper policy, right? What, I think that was our.
Or a different policy.
Or
Not
different
proper,
policy,
just
right.
a different one. which
Because
we
our
don't
guys
know.
are gonna be judged on ours, right? So we don't want you have that as an excuse, like, hey, we're in another jurisdiction, we're hands off. Right?
Right.
That was the intent.
I would also note that I did follow up with the chief because I had a similar question about that change in policy to intervene. And he did note that this is bringing the borough in line with the DA's model policy, that duty to intervene. So
He
Right.
did mention that to me. He didn't put it in his memo.
And our use of force is aligned with the DA's policy.
Yeah, now that she reminded me, he did
Okay,
he did
good.
tell me that.
Good, okay.
Yes,
Any further questions?
he just didn't put it in the memo. But he told me yesterday or the day before, I just forgot.
Okay, therefore I'd like to ask for a roll call.
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes,
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes,
Mr. Romanovich,
Yes.
Mr. Trosi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. The ordinance passes.
thank you. Next up is an execution of a memorandum of understanding concerning the review of video. When an incident occurs that currently, from talking to the chief, it's our responsibility to look at it before it goes to the DA, so we're kind of cutting out the middleman and just making the DA's office responsible for watching the video. Is how it was explained to me. I don't know if Colin gets into any more detail in his memo or not, but that's basically the gist of what we're changing, so. Any questions?
Let me just make a note that over the past couple of years, we have challenged the chief to, and the Public Safety Committee was working with him to update a lot of policies, and he's just been bringing them in, and that's what this has all been about. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's been timely bringing in all these new policies that we're updating, and that's essentially what this is about, so.
Yeah, so he doesn't get into detail in his memo. So that's what I know from speaking with him is what the change is. It's kicking the responsibility from us to the DA.
Okay, this is a
Mr.
motion.
Ashton, do you have any other?
I didn't move yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I didn't make a motion yet.
Okay. No, go, yeah.
But you still have discussion or questions before I
He
make
has
the
a
motion?
question. Go
No,
ahead.
I just wanted to know if you had any additional. input.
No, I don't have anything additional. Thank you.
All right, so I move that we authorize the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Borough of Green Tree and Allegheny County District Attorney's Office regarding review of police video under Act 22.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes.
And that ends the business portion of my duties.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Up next is Recreation, Mr. Panza.
Thank you. I have 2 appointments to make to Recreation Board. So I would like to make a motion that we appoint a Sarah Thurston and a Christina Nasira to the Recreation and Community Activities Board for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Second.
My only question is, did your committee meet to discuss these? Did you talk to these people, vet them? Did you come to a consensus?
We actually interviewed them through the Planning Commission and noted that their first choice out of anything was to be on the Recreation and Community Affairs Board. So that's why we had openings, and we feel confident that they will be satisfied with these appointments.
I have a question. Did these folks know that that their names have been presented tonight?
I cannot answer that. I mean, I would assume if it's on the agenda that someone here notified them.
But wouldn't that be you, Ron, who would have notified them about that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I
So
mean,
but we don't know then. If we don't know that we
well,
don't,
They submitted and asked to be on the Recreation Board.
that's great. That's awesome.
follow
They're
them.
both amazing people, but have we followed up with them to let them know that this is something that we want them here? I think that's like a
We-
great honor.
Yeah, we don't know until we vote on it.
Right.
They submitted their application to be on the Recreation
And-
Committee, but we can't
Yeah.
let
But-
them know that they're on the
but-
committee before.
We vote
Not,
on it.
not true. We asked for consensus from,
Right.
if there's 100% consensus.
That's only 3.
Okay,
for
well,
the
no, from the
committee.
committee, that's all. That's all.
Wait. When we interviewed Sarah and we talked to her, and she interviewed for the Planning Commission,
Okay.
but she did not make the Planning Commission.
Mhm.
But we said, would you like to be on, we see you would like to be on the Recreation Board. And she said yes, and she said why she would like to be on the Recreation Board. So back 6 weeks ago, we said, well, when we get a chance, we'll get you appointed to the Recreation Board. But I did not call her this morning and say, hey, we're going to.
That's fine, but
Yeah.
that does answer my question, that like it
Oh.
had been presented,
Oh,
that,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And
yeah.
who was the second person?
The second one is Christina Nasira.
And she also interviewed with the planning?
No,
No.
she did not interview with.
So we
Her
have,
application just came in. But until we vote, we really can't say she's gonna be on the Recreation.
right, I do know that, but I mean, like, has anyone talked to her? Have we done an interview with her? Have we seen like what, she's interested, why she wants to be on rec? It's a big, rec is a lot.
Well, now that you brought this up, okay, we'll do this then. Christina, more than 12 years of experience supporting the provision of services to experts in providing technical assistance to providers regarding the operation and development of programs. Areas of expertise, program evaluation, technical assistance, monitoring and auditing, contract management, conference training, development, budget oversight, grant making, fundraising. Okay, professional experiences, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Education from 6/20 to current. Prior, I mean, she wrote us a 12-page letter. And I mean, I could go through all 12 pages, but she clearly states that her first hope was to be appointed to the Recreation and Community Affairs Board. And then her second hope was to be appointed to the Library Board. And,
Ron, do you have anyone else that wants to be on a recreation board?
no, not at all.
Okay.
Not
But I
even.
think you answered her question as well. You
Oh.
haven't spoken to these folks.
Well, we have spoken to Sarah, that much I understand, that much I understand. But the second person, rec is a lot. Like, I just wanted to know if anyone had, there's a lot of things that go into the rec. You are a very, very busy organization. You do so many things for our community. And I just wanted to know if anyone had talked to this person and if they understood what that meant to be on the recreation committee. It's a really big deal.
2 weeks, you want to table this one?
Yeah, can we table it?
Well, right now we have a motion and a second to approve both of them, right? So,
I can rescind it
or you could do that, whatever you guys want.
if he wants to.
Well, I would say that
Can we vote on one?
I mean,
Yeah, we can vote on that.
realistically, it's not like the rec committee's gonna fall apart if it doesn't have the other person. It's just, when anyone puts an application in and wants to volunteer, we want to try to get them as soon as
She's
possible.
not saying
She's not
that.
saying-
She
she's
just
just
wants
talking.
to, she just wants to talk to her to make sure she knows what she's getting herself into.
That's it.
So let's just
That's-
vote on Sarah because we met with her. We know
Right.
she's interested.
And
Let's
table the other
table
one
the other
and-
one and we'll vote on, we'll
All right.
Probably
have a
gonna meet
meeting
in a
with
couple
her.
weeks and we
Yeah.
can do it
I
then.
have her phone number right here. I can call her.
No, don't call her
Can you put her
tonight.
on?
She might be on the meeting.
I could
She's
call her.
probably watching.
Yeah, like, we want her to volunteer. I just,
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so just, if I would call her right now
No,
and say,
no,
do you want to be on the rec board?
no, hold
I'll
off,
bet you
hold on.
99.9% of the chance she's not gonna say, oh, no, not at all. Why would you
Correct.
get that?
I agreed, but
She
I
would say
do,
yes. Okay.
agreed, I
Excuse me,
do
Ron,
think she
It's
would.
not that important.
It's,
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
think we
President.
should follow the proper,
I would like to rescind my first motion and make a secondary motion of tabling appointments to the rec board until we can get further, a second authentication of them wanting to be on the rec board. Because then apparently their applications aren't enough, but we'll get a second.
I want it to be clear. I do not think that their applications are not enough. That is not what I'm asking here.
Okay.
We have talked with Sarah. She does have an understanding of what it means to be on a board and what that means to serve. Putting in an application, just like when you're interviewing for a job or something else, does require a bit of conversation to say like, hey, this is what we do. Are you in for it? Like, we're back in we're recovering from a pandemic. Like, our rec board does a lot, so much. And I just want to give this person the understanding of what that means. That is what I was asking for.
I technically think I have to rescind my second.
you probably do.
So I did.
Okay, your second is
rescind.
rescinded, therefore it's a clean slate. Therefore, Mr. Panza, would you like to make?
I would like to table both, the whole motion till the next meeting. Because why,
I'll
if
second that.
I'm going to call the one person the day before, why not call both people?
I agree.
Okay, you made the motion and you have a second to that. Any further discussion? Okay,
We
All-
got stuff piling up for the next meeting.
so all in favor of that motion to table the appointments to a next meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
And that will.
All in
conclude the-
favor?
Oh,
Hold on, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. That motion passes.
okay.
Yes,
And that will conclude the business portion of my report tonight.
thank you very much. Okay, next we are going to move on to the committee reports. So it'll just be every committee get a chance to report on anything at all. First up would be finance and general policy.
I have no new business to report.
Thank you very much. Infrastructure, Mr. Romanovich.
Yes, Mr. President, the borough has received a 120-day extension on the possibility of a lateral inspection ordinance in lieu of other options that are available for our consent order that's been issued to the borough. That's the extent of my report.
Is that county related?
That was
State
from the
related?
Indiana County Health Department.
Just
Yes,
want to
my
make sure
apologies.
everybody's clear with that. Thank you for that information. Planning and zoning.
Yes, Mr. President, planning and zoning, I have 3 items. The first one is, tonight we voted on an ordinance to make some updates and changes, omissions and errors to certain ordinances. Planning Commission has also identified some other omissions that we need to address, and they're going through the zoning code, and we'll submit those to Ms. Miller and Ms. Dearson. They're also having trouble gathering data from the census. Since we're under 5,000 residents, they're having trouble accessing and analyzing that data. If we were over 5,000, there's means to access that data more readily. So want to have a discussion if anyone knows, Ms. Miller, or anybody knows of ways that we can, methods that we can leverage to help the Planning Commission access that data, analyze that data and report out on it.
So at the present time, there's no access. You have no census data whatsoever. Is that the case?
Very limited census data, Judy, and it doesn't break it down far enough for us to make the comparisons to the data we have from 2010.
Yeah.
I will certainly start asking around to see, because there's a lot of other communities in our similar situation that may, already explored the option. But I do know when I looked through the census to try to obtain information, it was not there either. So,
Okay, great. Thank you for that help. One more thing. So Foster Plaza is between 20 and 30% occupied. That's way down from pre-COVID levels, or down from pre-COVID levels. We don't expect it to get back to where it was at its peak. We're finding that some companies are renegotiating their leases from 2 to 3 floors to 1 to 2 floors. So that could impact, it could lead to tax reduction requests. So I think we need to consider a rezoning of that area to maybe a mixed use zone where we could have residential, restaurant, instead of just office buildings, we have a mixed use zone there. So we'd like discussion on that. And based on our discussion, like to go back to Planning Commission and have them do further research on what that might look like. But it's definitely in dire straits right now, especially with that renegotiating of leases, which I don't think we've really considered up to this point.
You're talking about the DoubleTree.
Talking about Foster Plaza.
Oh, Foster Plaza.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of it. That's
Part of it.
But you're talking
all
about the
buildings,
entire facility.
The entire facility.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So if there's no concern or no issues with the Planning Commission, researching that and determining what that might look like, I'll have the Planning Commission do so.
Well, do you want to also tie your committee into that and begin to work with them to look at that?
Yeah, they'll do the research. We'll work closely with them, but yeah, it's something that I think it's imperative to the vitality of Foster's Plaza that we look into that. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Public Facilities and Equipment, Ms. Barron.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few things tonight, some updates about our fields and parks. So Public Works has begun preparation on the fields and parks for the spring and summer season. One thing to really note is that we might all remember that Hemlock 2 was completely renovated in fall of 2021. And that really meant planting new grass. So the complete reseeding of that grass that happened in the fall actually requires 12 months of full growth process. So that means that particular field will still be out of circulation for the summer months. And that it will continue to be reevaluated and make sure its roots are properly rooted in the fall. Wilson Park wall, the wall in Wilson Park, upon inspection, it was made clear that the wall is in need of some rebuilding, including replacement of wall materials. There is going to be some preparing of specifications and bid documents. None of this work will begin until the fall of this year, so it won't interrupt any athletic schedules or anything that's happening over there. Wilson Pool, Public Works has begun preparations for the summer season. Mechanism repairs are happening and will continue to happen as needed. And just standard pool preparations like painting and patching will begin in the upcoming weeks as we prepare for the pool season. And then last but not least, the library. The Allegheny County Library Association, which we are a part of, has just launched a brand new app in the last week. This is a huge project between all of the different libraries. And the app can be downloaded to your smartphone or any smart device, both Android and Apple. And it allows users to browse the catalog, put books on hold, get connected to your specific library. So our residents could say, you know, their library is Green Tree, and it would feed events. It gives you your reading history and more. And one of the most amazing features of the app is that it actually allows you to have a self-checkout. So for all of the folks who are often in a rush at the library, busy families with lots of kids in tow, you can actually have the app on your phone, come into our library, find the books that you want, have your kids playing, have your partner on the computer doing their thing, and you can check out the books right from your phone. It goes right to your account. And you don't have to make a stop at the circulation desk or wait for anything. So it's a huge, and you can do that at all public libraries in Allegheny County. So that is the end of my report.
Thank you so very much. Mr. Lindsay, public safety.
Thank you. When Ms. Barron was speaking, it reminded me, do we have a COG report? Are we missing a COG report from the agenda?
Yeah, I was unavailable for this month's COG
There-
meeting.
That would be under Mr. Romanovich if he had anything to report.
Yeah, I was unavailable to attend the COG meeting this month.
So he's supposed to do that under his committee chair report?
He can, since he's the representative.
He can, okay. I just wanted to remind him. I didn't see it on here.
Right. Because
Anyway.
usually we wait for something to report. And that's a good point we'll address in a minute. In the meantime.
Yeah,
public safety.
in lieu of that, so public safety, hopefully, been having some spam issues. Hopefully everyone got my email today concerning the hiring process for new police officer or officers. I think there's a lot of information in there that should answer all your questions. We talked about it briefly in our committee meeting, but I didn't get into great detail, and now we're kind of in a time crunch, so I threw it out to everybody this morning. You know, please give me comments, concerns, or whatever before we try to move to the next step, getting it to civil service. And as I stated, primarily it's to alter the requirements for applicants so we can broaden our applicant pool. I'm concerned with the fact that the last time we did a hiring, we ended up with, I think, 6 individuals. 2 of them were disqualified ultimately, and we hired 2 officers from 4 applicants. And with the COVID, the last couple of years, probably negatively impacting potential officers going to get college credits and degrees, that we just felt that it was time to alter those minimum requirements. And a lot of the other communities are doing the same. So you have all the information that I have, and I just want to keep the ball moving. And if we could get the Civil Service Commission to move on this and send a recommendation back to us, we'd like to do another council meeting before May to try to keep the process going, because it takes so many months to actually complete the process. So anybody has any questions, I mean, I can take them now, or you can email me.
I just request that you give us a week or 2, at least heads up, so we could try to schedule to make sure we get enough people. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to push them because it's got to come from them.
Understand.
You know, they have to send it to us so we can adopt it. So I've already reached out to them and told them that it was coming. So as long as we don't have any challenges where, you know, with the way we're trying to do this, then it should move along. But the idea is to try to get it out there and not wait till the May business meeting, if we can. If we can't, we can't. But if we can, we'd like to move it along faster.
Sounds good.
One other thing, I've been meaning to bring this up. So a number of years ago, by resolution, I'm assuming, council made the social room over at the fire hall, the Carlisle Social Hall. And to my knowledge, there's never been any sign or demarcation to prove that that actually happened, whether it's outside or inside the building. And I thought that's something we should resolve.
Do you want a
Did you miss
formal
that?
sign?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I saw actually the Carlisle Social Hall and I did no idea what that was. Okay.
Now you do.
That- Yep.
So if we could do some, I don't care how, or
Put something up.
above the door,
Sure.
or whatever. I don't know if we're still looking at doing a vestibule or whatever, but above the door on the outside or somewhere on the inside, doesn't matter. As long as
Good
it's donated, or,
Do you remember when that was? Was that
it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
And I keep forgetting to bring it
It
up.
was definitely after he passed away.
well, for sure.
Correct.
But what I'm saying,
just-
so
It's a good
it was
5
like
years.
right after he passed away.
2012 we died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
So,
So it's like,
I'll look
10
it
years.
up.
been a number of years.
Wow.
Yeah, we need to.
We do make reference to it.
Right.
When we reserve it or what have you, I just think that since we made that resolution, we should probably put a sign up.
That's a good
And
idea.
that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Mr. Panza, anything else on recreation programming and community welfare?
Absolutely. My rec committee met to discuss the swimming pool hours of operation and the upcoming pricing for this coming year. And after looking at comparisons, it was recommended, but I'm going to open this up for discussion now. It was recommended that we extend the hours till 8:30 in the evening to leave the swimming pool open and that we keep the pricing the same as it was of last year.
I think we said 8. or
Oh,
30.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because it was only 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we said moving it from 7 till 8 and leaving the current pricing the way it is. And that was with respect to, we did look at comparables and felt that we were in line with other communities. However, I do want to open this up for discussion in case some people have stronger feelings on if some of the prices should be changed or not.
My only concern with the pool would be and I talked to Ms. Miller about this, and I've brought this up in the past before, the price that we charge to rent the pool, I think is a pittance. We lose money if somebody rents the pool, which should never happen. So we're going beyond the 8 o'clock for an hour or two, and we have staff there on overtime. We got the big lights going.
They don't get
with,
overtime. Lifeguards don't get overtime.
Well, they're required to get overtime for over 40 hours. What do you mean?
They're
By law.
employees.
They're what?
They-
Season,
I don't-
that
I-
doesn't matter.
I'm not sure if they.
They get
work that many
overtime.
hours.
Mr. Ray, you
That
got
was my
over, Mr. Ray
understanding.
worked there. He got overtime.
Really?
Yes.
Because my daughters work there, they didn't get overtime.
Well, I think you have a grievance, sir, and I think you should file
No,
one.
there was, I thought there was something. In the-
40 hours is 40 hours. It's in stone. Right? Once you hit 41, you get overtime.
Correct.
I have a question. Have we given any thought, in 2020, when the pool was opened during the height of COVID, we, council, not we, I was not here, council made the decision to limit it to residents only. We carried that on until last year, and then people could only come and use our pool if they were guests of Green Tree residents. Have we given any thought of opening it back up, still having, higher rates for people who don't live in our community? I understand that. But actually making it a public pool that people outside of Green Tree can attend. Was that discussed?
That it was. And we felt there was enough leeway for people outside of the community to attend our swimming pool, and the rates that we charge were adequate relative to the other communities.
Fine, but when what do you mean by leeway? Because if we go by last year, you could only come if you were a guest of a resident.
If I may say, and David, you might recall, I believe that the pass,
You can buy a
season
pass,
pass
yeah.
did include
Non-resident.
non-residents could a
Yes.
senior pass, or non-residents could buy a season pass. Where the must be accompanied by a resident came into play was with daily admissions.
Right. Are we,
Yes.
is that still your intention this year to do that?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I'm disappointed to hear that.
Okay, but I'm saying our intentions were non-residents can buy the season pass, yes.
Correct, but
So that when I made the statement, we felt we gave enough leeway. We did not exclude non-residents. We just have if they would like to attend, they would have to buy a season pass.
sure, but we're also, with those rates, we're excluding a lot of people who don't have a pool in their neighborhood, who want to enjoy the summer pool and who don't have the ability and the means or even the schedule to buy a pass. Because when you're buying a pass, you really have to say like, okay, it's going to be worth my while to come to this pool consistently. And we have heard from our community members that it has been a stress, and it's been very disappointing that Green Tree is not opening our doors to the pools to our neighboring communities.
Why are you concerned with that?
Because I think that we're a public pool. It is not a,
We're Green Tree.
We're Green Tree Pool.
we are a Green Tree pool.
Our responsibilities to our borough residents first and foremost.
And we can still come. That's all fine. I absolutely am really disappointed to hear that we are not considering opening up to people outside of our community.
So we're not.
You're saying that they have to buy a pool pass,
Right.
and that is very costly and does not allow people to come just on a whim to come to the pool on a day.
But also the residents can buy guest pass for non-residents.
But there's lots of people who want to come to the pool who are not I have people down the street on me on Dayland who want to come to our pool, but I can't arrange my schedule to make sure that they can come into the pool. We have families that want to come. There are people that just want to come by for a day. I have a cousin who lives over in that area, and she's a nurse. She's like, I just want to stop by, and I got turned away. We've seen people of color been turned away from our pool. That is all true. And that is all not because people are being anything, but because they weren't allowed to come to the pool. And I have heard from community members throughout this past year that they have seen this, and it has been stressful. It has been sad. I've had friends tell me in the community that they've had people come and seen them get turned away, and then have turned to them and said, oh, you're just going to be my friend for the day. Come on in. Because we're turning people away from the pool. That's also revenue that we're turning away from the pool. I'm just disappointed that we are not opening it.
Generate revenue either. As a public entity, our job is to service the community of Green Tree and as residents. I would not want to show up at 4 p.m. after I've worked a hard day and not be allowed to come into the pool.
But we're not
because we
having.
have an overabundance of non-residents in the pool.
And how often has that happened ever? In the
It happened all the time. I had to park on the other side of Poplar to come to the pool because there was no room in the parking lot all the time. We had to have an agreement with the company across the street
Yeah.
to park in their parking lot. It was unsafe in the pool because there are so many people in the pool.
Was that during COVID?
No, it's pre-COVID.
Regular? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
Then residents come to me and say, why are there so many people? I can't park. I have to park across the street with my kids and walk across Poplar. Right? We don't, I agree with Mr. Romanovich. Our obligation is to the residents.
I agree
Obligation-
that our
there's-
obligation-
There's other avenues for people outside of the community to go to a pool. They can go to the county pools, which are public pools. They can buy a pass, they can come with a guest. We're not excluding. And for you to say that bring race into it, I think that was out of bounds there, Ms. Barron.
I disagree with you, and I think that we have to really think about ourselves as a community. We are a group of white people on this floor. We do have many people in our community that are not. And I think that we have to think about ourselves in this world and what we want Green Tree to stand out. Because what actually ends up being happening is people don't say, oh, I can't go to Green Tree because I'm not a resident. It becomes, oh, Green Tree doesn't let me into that pool. I can't go to the Green Tree pool because, oh, it's residents only. They like to have it a country club. And that is absolutely what people say in the community. And I think I'm just disappointed. I understand, like, I might be the losing dissenting voice on this, but I want to make it clear that I'm disappointed.
Well, I would state the problem you're presenting goes back to the fact that there are many people that do not live in Green Tree that must be upset with their swimming pool situation. So instead of you arguing for them to come here, those people, if they're dissatisfied with their own swimming pool, should be going to their elected officials and saying, hey, Green Tree has a nice swimming pool. Why don't I have a nice swimming pool? And then there wouldn't be an issue.
Absolutely, those things should happen and can happen. But I also think that we have an obligation as a community neighbor to just be a welcoming place for people.
We
That
are, there
I
are
do.
options. We are not saying that non-residents cannot come to our pool.
I think we're making it really hard for non-residents to come to our pool, and I'm disappointed in that.
Not only do we pay a pool pass, but we also pay taxes to support our pool. Okay, so it's just not the pool pass. If you were to combine, I don't know what the number is, but what portion of our taxes go to the pool? Add that on to the pool pass, okay? Well, I bet we get close to the non-resident pass, okay? Our obligation is to the residents.
Can I ask Mayor, you may not know, I mean, not the mayor, the manager, you may not know this for a fact, but do we receive any federal money for the swimming pool?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so, or do we receive any state money from the swimming pool?
You know what? I cannot answer that with any certainty. I did see something today, strangely, when I was looking through some documents, because I was gathering some information just for you to have. And there was something about a grant being received for the pool, but I have no knowledge of that.
For the handicap.
That's exactly what it was for. So I had not even, with the pool renovations that will be pending, obviously, I had not planned on applying for grants because typically when you receive any type of state and or federal funds, you are not in any way permitted to restrict access.
Yeah, so that's what I was, that may be some avenue for you to pursue, to look at before our next meeting. But right now, this was our recommendation for next meeting.
I understand that, and my opinion is I'm disappointed. I'm allowed to have that opinion.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I want our residents to know that. I think that there are a number of residents in this community that won't be disappointed by this news, and I want them to know that there is someone who understands that.
And there will also be residents that are very happy with the news. because it's
Absolutely.
now a safer environment for their families.
Well, if there's a lot of concern, then hopefully come the May meeting, we'll have a lot of citizens speaking one way or the other prior to our vote, so we can, in the end, we want to do what's best for the community. That's all.
We all want to do what's best for our
What's best
community.
for the community.
I was also asked, this pool related, if we can reinstate the chair rental, right? The being able to leave your chair there overnight. I think they paid a yearly annual fee to leave the chairs.
It was like $20.
Yeah. I was asked to reinstate that policy.
Well, I think we should, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I could just say, I think the only reason that wasn't done in the last 2 years was due to COVID. So is this, then, are you going to send something to me so that I know? I was just curious about the 8 PM. Is that 7 days a week?
Yeah.
That's all contingent on staffing too.
Right, if I
Yeah.
can, though, has been some issues that have been raised to me in regards to moving that closing date to 8 PM because Green Tree does have a swim team and their practices after hours. That will put a lot of our youth in that pool upwards to about 10 PM if they are on that swim team. So
But
that might be some.
That's
food
not
for
every
thought.
night though, right?
It's every night.
a week.
Yes.
They practice finance.
It's going, yeah.
now, I mean.
But
I
these
would
are the old
listen-
rules, right?
Yeah, I would listen to all these arguments, but we were doing this for 20-some years before COVID. You know, it's so, this like going back to 8 isn't some new
I
invention,
was
you know, I'm just saying, so.
just presenting
What
to
I'm
you
saying,
some of the
but
issues
when a
that
lot
were
of
brought to
people
me.
will come and complain about that, you have to say, it was like that the way, you know, prior to COVID. I mean, maybe start an hour later in the mornings. and
Or compromise 7:30. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
You want to
Oh,
go
yeah.
back 35 years? Swim team practices at 8 AM, turn off the pool heater.
There you go.
And
Remember those days?
no, I do not remember
Yeah.
those days, but yeah, that's right. We have a heated swimming pool. I mean, we're able to use that before a lot of other swimming pools, you know, are not heated. So we just feel our recommendations are very reasonable. That's all. But
Is your report over yet?
no, because the second part of my report is any meeting of my committee prior to the next May meeting, so we can interview further people for the rec committee. So if you could provide me with 3 or 4 dates in the next month, I can get that organized. Okay?
I have one more thing. I think it falls under recreation. Sorry, Rena. There's been interest to reinstate the junior council person position and wanted to know.
Do we have a
does that fall-
candidate?
Yes, we have a candidate. But wanted to know, there needs to be some structure around it.
Right,
Right.
that was the issue, how it ended, because people were just getting on it for their own sake. They weren't
Right.
doing anything.
They were
So,
building their resumes.
right. So we
So-
were, at the time, we said, let's develop whatever.
Yeah. So does that fall under a certain committee?
It was
That's general
under-
policy, Dave.
It was always under my committee.
You want to do it,
And
community welfare?
we need to have like a purpose for them, like, we need to assign them a project.
Well, that would be the description.
Good. Yeah, we'll work on that. If it's under your committee, we can take,
Yeah,
we
it'd
can manage that,
think
create some structure
be
around.
great to
create
bring
a
it back with
project.
some parameters.
Yeah, it was always under yours.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I believe it was.
Well, I mean, the one person worked on getting the deck hockey thing built. The other senior council person was passionate about improving the trails in the nature center.
Over the years, there've been some
You
good
know,
ones.
there's been some good
Sure.
things, but then a couple people, then it started getting where we had such good candidates that they were almost like a doctor. They had 48 things going on in the evening and they couldn't come to the meetings because they were head of this, doing this, doing that. And it became a resume builder for their college placement and they weren't attending the meetings.
I just have one question. Would the junior councilman talk before or after the mayor?
Good question.
We can-
Maybe
We'll
it
figure
should
it
be
out.
junior mayor.
There you go. Junior mayor.
Yeah, he needs, like,
I
he
don't-
needs a protege.
Mr. Panza, any further?
That is.
I am not rushing you.
I am.
I just want to make sure it's under recreation.
Yeah. well,
We can make it under recreation. That'll be fine.
That, when we meet to discuss this direct appointment, we'll discuss this.
Who's vice president of this council?
You're sitting next to
That gentleman.
I guess he can't back the gavel on himself.
And that is the end of my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pan. Okay, it is the president's report. Let me just say, the whole issue with the agenda. I got appointed president. We haven't had a change in president in over 15 years. So as I'm looking at things, I'm supposed to create committees, maybe even 16. 15, I'm supposed to create committees, put people on the committees, chairs, all that good stuff. But also, as I was looking at the agenda, I realized, wow, this agenda is kind of I don't want to say mess, but it's been every which way. And didn't know that there was an ordinance passed years ago to set up the agenda. And there's things on the agenda haven't been done since I was on council. We don't have an engineer's report. There's a number of things on there. So the whole point of this was looking at we're looking at best practices, and I was chairman of LGA, Local Government Academy. I'm still on the board. Everybody here is a graduate of the Local Government Academy, including the mayor. So I'm looking at how can we improve? How do we change things, make it a little different, make it more business-like? That's what this is all about. Turns out a lot of communities don't even have an ordinance about the agenda. It's an agenda. You can set it up to make it work. My idea was, like many boroughs and townships, they do the business first. And that's the idea is, was brought up. Ms. Miller mentioned it. Yeah, we get the business out of the way. Sometimes we don't have any ordinances. Then sometimes we do. Tonight we had a few. So get them out of the way, get the public in and out. It's not meant to put anybody first, anybody last. You know, a couple of the last agendas, the president was way up on the agenda. I don't care about it. I'm not that concerned about where I am at or where anyone is. The idea is a lot of the things we've done on this agenda was just like everything changed. Talked about, things we did this 30 years ago. Okay, let's just update things. The idea is let's promote our borough. Let's get the business done. Let's get the committee people to discuss their issues and then move on with some of the rest of the agenda. That's the whole point of this. That's what this is about. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, it's an agenda. My goodness, it's not meant to, my ego, you can put me last. The way we have it set up, you know, I had the mayor going ahead of me and the borough manager. It's not the intent to be derogatory. You are the mayor. We're happy with that you're the mayor. It's just, it's a business meeting.
Mr. President, I don't think anybody's arguing.
Yeah, no one's
Okay, I'm
arguing.
just, no, I'm not talking about arguing. I wanted to provide some insight in what this was about.
We just want to be included.
You can certainly be included.
That's all.
And all that this did was, it allowed us to, whatever this ordinance was, get eliminated. So then we can do an agenda the way we.
I
And then
think
as
if
far
you
as that
read it,
goes,
I think if you read it, there's not even a president's report on it.
I don't think there is. There is an.
You're out of
engineer-
line right now.
That's right. So there was no engineer report. I mean, there's a solicitor's report which we never used. There was so many things on our agenda. where
I've
just-
never heard a solicitor make a report ever.
I don't think we
Ever.
did.
Yeah.
Nothing
once-
against Kate, but-
once
So,
there was.
Just so you know, that's the whole point of this, is just to be able to control our agenda the way we need it, not offend people because we put something ahead of. That's not the point. So I'm sorry, you were confused about this, but this is all it's about. So hopefully we'll be able to get to the point. We couldn't even find the ordinance original. So let's update ourselves to at least the 2000s. That's all we're saying here. So that's what it's about. So that's it. I have a couple more things. First off, secondly, I attended the Lga graduation last week at the Doubletree. It was nice that the Doubletree hosted it. We have 3 graduates. To that 3 new graduates, we are 100% since back probably 20 years, at least 20 some years. Everybody who's been elected has gone through the course. It's a wonderful course. So we have Shannon, we have James, and we have Craig. We're all recent graduates. I attended it. There is the biggest group that LGA has ever had. It was over 110 people. Actually, they had 130 people. They had a limit to 110. That's awesome. And so it's like local people stepping up, and it's all starts the local government. So that's what we're encouraging people to get educated once they step up. What better way to do it? Commercial, sure. Then have the LGA provide with a lot of expertise. I would say everybody in here have to say, hey, I really learned a lot. I'm glad we had that. So I just want to congratulate our new 3 council people on graduating. Then the only interesting thing, if you saw all these helicopters running around, I live on Ringgold, there was helicopters everywhere. I was like, what the heck happened? We being invaded? Supposedly there was a car that went through the barrier and went by the, I don't know if it crashed into the state store or the, whatever they're calling it now. It was just interesting how all the noise and all the activity over something like that. I was just, if you were wondering what it was, I was like, what the heck's going on? So that was kind of an interesting thing that just occurred over the last few hours. I just would bring some light on. People were ready to send a helicopter over your house, so be ready. And that is the end of my report. Manager's report next, Ms. Miller.
We'd be disappointed if it's a really long report.
Well, I've been holding something for quite a while, so please hurry.
Most important, you all know that Gannett Fleming is in the process of preparing the preliminary engineering designs for the bridge. They would like to, they feel they will be ready to give a presentation to council at the May 2nd meeting. And I realize that meeting's kind of stacking up to be a big meeting, so I'd just say maybe make sure you eat dinner before you come and do whatever else you need to before you come to the meeting. So May 2nd, I'm going to look to have them, they'll give a presentation and then council can talk about it a little bit. And the goal will be to select a design so that then they can begin developing the formal specifications and everything that goes along with that. And also along with that is that will then give me the opportunity, once they can get some cost certifications together, that's the point in time at which I can start applying for grants. And I'm going to apply for everything and anything out there. So that's that. Peer review is ongoing. Won't get into any real detail on that because I don't have a whole lot to bring to you with regard to the public works and administrative side, but it is ongoing. Just important, DEA is partnering with Green Tree to do a drug take back program. That'll be on Saturday, April 30th from 10 to 2 here at the Municipal Center parking lot. And then just lastly, April 14th is the deadline for the applications for part-time summer applications. So Public Works, lifeguards, concession stand people, recreation program counselors. So if you know of anybody looking for a job, you'll notice the rates have been bumped up a little bit this year. So they're really nice jobs to stay right here in Green Tree and get your summer working.
See, that wasn't too bad.
Then I would like to make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
So moved, we are adjourned, and possibly the middle of this month, we may be doing it on a future Monday, so we'll keep everybody